Hey guys, so it's almost midnight, end of the day on Sunday. Weighed myself this morning, 259.1. So that's 2 pounds-ish, I think. Something along those lines. So, nice little boost to start the day. Feeling really good today. Feeling really in control, really excited. Fair amount of energy. I've been having issues with my jaw, with TMJ, and like my neck and stuff. And pain has subsided a little bit. Normally, it causes me to have to lay down kind of halfway through the day, just to kind of give my muscles a little bit of a break and try to get things. Wow, that's clicking. But try to get things back in a line. And didn't take a nap today, but I'm ready to go to sleep here pretty soon. Didn't have a huge appetite today. Realized when I was logging my food, because I do keep track of everything, that I didn't have the lunch. I had a really late breakfast, and then went to the store to get some stuff for... Checking my eyebrows. Went to the store, sorry, really ADD today. But went to the store to get stuff to make dinner, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Then came home, hung out with my husband a little bit. He went to work. I did some work here at home. And then, lo and behold, it was like 7:30 and I hadn't made dinner yet. And I was ready to eat, but I wasn't terribly, I wasn't famished or anything, so that was kind of cool. So for dinner tonight, I made crab cakes and a little green salad. Made a really nice avocado, like a creamy avocado sauce to go on top of the crab cakes. And I decided to share the recipe with all of you, so I videoed the whole thing. A lot of, when I'm cooking, a lot of what I do is just by sight and by texture, so I tried to explain stuff as best as I possibly could. Nice thing is the recipe's pretty forgiving, so you don't have to worry. It's not like baking. You don't have to worry about exact measurements. So hopefully this will give you guys something new to try to make for dinner. So here is our recipe for today. So let's talk about ingredients a little bit. So this sauce that we're making, the spicy avocado sauce, very simple. Has technically six ingredients. So we have one whole large avocado. Shells are empty. I've already taken the avocado out. Lemon juice. You're going to be using about a tablespoon of lemon juice. Lime juice works as well. Olive oil. You'll be using about a quarter of a cup of olive oil. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in just a moment. Sriracha. This is what gives it that spice. It also brings out a little bit of saltiness. Super nice. Feel free to use this to taste. If you like things super spicy, like I do, use a lot. If not, just use a little bit. And lastly, mayonnaise. Real mayonnaise. True, proper mayonnaise. And then you'll want to put a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. So the olive oil, said you'd be using about a quarter of a cup. Add this as you need. Sometimes you'll need more, sometimes you'll need less. So start with 1/8 and add as you need. So what do? Basically, we add the avocado, the lemon, the sriracha, and the mayo, which you'll be using about 2 tablespoons. Put it in your food processor or your blender or your magic bullet. Mix it together, put in your salt and pepper, mix. It'll look kind of like a creamy, chunky guacamole, which means we're almost there. You'll take your olive oil, slowly start to drizzle it in as you continue to mix, and you'll be looking for kind of a creamy guacamole sort of consistency. So not completely saucy, but not chunky either. Think of it like an avocado pesto. That's kind of what we're looking for. If you want to experiment a little bit with this, herbs work really well. feel free to play around. Green onion, I imagine, would taste delicious. So this is a great basic sauce that you can use on all kinds of meats, veggies. Makes a delicious salad dressing. You can thin it out a little bit with some water to give it more of a salad dressing consistency. But right now, we're looking for something kind of like that. So I'm going to take this out, put this in the refrigerator, let it marinate for a little bit, and then let's get to making some crab cakes. So now it's time for the crab cake. So some of this stuff is optional, some of this stuff is mandatory, and I will let you know which is which. So obviously, crab cakes, what are we using? Crab meat. I got the Bumblebee fancy white crab meat. I'm not really sure how fancy it is, but it's a super good value. You could use lump crab meat. It's a little bit more expensive, but well worth it. But don't feel bad about using something like this, which is a little bit less expensive because we're going to be making crab cakes out of it. We're not having it just by itself. So there's crab, mayonnaise, once again. Don't need that. Okay, crab, mayonnaise. Again, I'm using sriracha because I like spice. This is completely optional. You're going to want a little bit of veggie in it. Bell pepper works really well. I got the orange kind because I thought it was pretty. Feel free to use green, red, yellow, whatever you have. I like green onion too, so picked up some green onion. You could use a little bit of white onion. Garlic would be really nice. Even something like some chopped zucchini wouldn't be too bad if you dice it up fine enough. Seasoning. I love Old Bay for seafood, so we're going to be using some of that today. Oh, another mandatory, you're going to need an egg. That goes over there. One raw egg. And then some other things for flavoring. Fresh herbs. I have a little herb garden on my balcony at my apartment, and it is a godsend because I can grab whatever I want whenever I want. So today we're going to use a little basil, a little oregano. Parsley works well, cilantro, whatever you like, feel free to use. And then, of course, a little olive oil because we're going to be frying these things, just pan frying them. Now, I know you're thinking, but Stephanie, crab cakes, don't they need to have breading? And technically, yes, they do. And Stephanie, isn't breading full of carbs? Yes, it is, but not if you use a little trick that I discovered. Dun 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 dun. Pork rinds. No carbs. 0 carbs. Look. 0 carbohydrates. Focus, please. Anyway, trust me. That's a 0 right in there. You just can't see it very well. So, 0 carbs. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these, put them in, again, the food processor. Again, a blender would work just fine for this, or if you want to work out your aggressions, put them in a plastic bag, beat them with a hammer. But basically we're going to turn these pork rinds into breadcrumbs. They don't have a heavy pork flavor, so please don't be worried about that. But it'll provide the crispiness that you would be looking for something like a crab cake. You can use this on fried fish, chicken legs and thighs for a mock fried chicken. Godsend, pork rinds. Get them. So we started with the vegetables. We roughly chopped the orange bell pepper. You only need about 1/4 of a bell pepper, about 3 tablespoons worth. Kind of rough chopped that green onion, good handful worth. Added 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise and good 1.5 tablespoons of sriracha. So you're going to want to mix that up. There you go, and that's what that's going to look like. So you're going to add everything else except for the crab meat. We'll do that at the very, very end. And then, of course, the olive oil, because the olive oil is just for frying. So let's go ahead and add in our herbs now. We're going to add in a little bit of Old Bay. About 10-15 shakes worth. works out to about half of a teaspoon, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but who's counting? And then finally the egg, which I will add after I set the camera back down. Okay, so everything is mixed. It's pretty liquidy. That's kind of what you're looking for. Really saucy. So what we're going to do to this, we're going to add the 2 cans of crab meat. Each can is 6 ounces each, so if you're not using the canned, use the appropriate amount in fresh. Do not use imitation crab meat. It's not the same thing. For this purpose, won't work. So we're going to add both cans. Also, make sure you drain the cans of all the liquid, just like you do with tuna. So we're going to add 1 can, 2 cans. And we're not going to mix this. We're just going to kind of fold everything together. We don't want to break up the texture of the crab meat, because then if not, then it's just a big, mushy mess. So just make sure everything gets incorporated. Just like that. There we go. Looking good. Okay. Next thing, and the last thing, as far as mixing goes, is our crumbled pork rinds. So this is what they look like after they've been in the food processor for about 30 seconds. Looks just like breadcrumbs. So we're going to use about half a cup. Again, this is like the olive oil in the sauce. You want to start low and then continue to work in if you feel like you need more. So let's go and start with about half of a cup. We should be about that right there, give or take. So we're going to fold that in just like we did with the crab meat. Good. Start to see it come together. My mixture is pretty wet, so we're going to need to add a little bit more. So let's go ahead and do about another 1/4 of a cup. There we go. It's going to look a little wetter than what you need, and that's fine, because what we're going to do is we're going to be putting this whole thing in the refrigerator for about 25 minutes or so. That way the pork rinds can absorb up a little of the extra moisture. Also give a chance for all of our flavors to mix together. We want super, super tasty, and that will help to achieve that. So I'm going to put this in the, cover it with some plastic wrap, put it in the fridge, and then we will come back when it's all done, cook them up, and we will be ready to eat. And there you go. So after I took them out of the fridge, I should have probably shown you that part, but just formed them into little patties about 3 inches in diameter, about 1/2 inch thick. Threw them in some hot olive oil, just pan fried them a little. Did about 3.5 minutes on each side, flipped them, served them on the plate, topped with a little salsa, nice little green salad with some blue cheese dressing. If your crab cakes fall apart on you, don't feel bad, it happens, but still tastes just as delicious and looks really nice too.